Also, starten wir? Ist das gut für alle? Should we, I don't know, the question is, how many of you would prefer English? One.
Do you understand German?
Do you understand German?
No.
No, not at all. Okay. Wer versteht kein Englisch? Okay. So I thought, okay, we could make it a little bit interactive, and then we thought, okay, let's do somehow a data visualization, and then we said, okay, how could we do it? And then came the idea. I think some of you, or probably most of you, are aware, or they know the bubble sort mechanism. Bubble sort mechanism means that you are comparing yourself, or kind of the number, to your neighbor, and the idea is that we would like to know. This is just an example. In which of the rows are how many designers or people from the developer's side, the technical side, or how many are that wouldn't put themselves neither one or the other one. So what would be the idea is that you actually go up, talk just to your neighbor, and that you switch places. And that in the end we have something like a diagram saying, okay, let's say on the Windows side are sitting the design people. You will even get
a yellow dot.
A yellow sticky dot also afterwards for networking, then you know who the designers are. On the other side, of course, in the middle will be the blue ones, and on the other, the complete opposite will be the technical developer programmers.
So the programmers are red.
The programmers are red.
Okay, so we can use this scheme actually. So designers.
I would have said the designers are there because I would switch, but we can also make the design.
Yeah, I would because I have these three colors.
Means designers are there or
there?
There. Designers, technicians. Okay, so just a fast standing up, asking your neighbor, design or technical, how much design, and you make a scale, and then you move yourself. It's not the big thing. I hope it's okay. You just Good. That's bubble sort. Bubble sort networking, or however. Good. Also jetzt, so now it's the next, there will be little interactions. I hope you don't hate me for that. So, the idea is now that we will have different photographs. You will get it afterwards. The photographs kind of data visualization photograph. The idea is now that we say, all the yellow ones just stand up, Nico makes a photo, and then all the blue ones stand up so that we can count them, and then sit down, and then all the red ones stand up and sit down, so that we have kind of all this kind of, afterwards maybe a nice GIF or something, animation. Okay, so now just, are you okay with this kind of thing? Okay? Okay, good. Cool. So the yellow ones, please stand up. Okay. Okay, we did this, so please could the design stand up, and we did this. Okay. So now we will have a little statistic about our event. We brought two challenges in the print area. For us, the first one is actually what we did as one of our first projects some time ago. There was, okay, we started, and we actually didn't know if we are capable to do anything meaningful or kind of smart. So there was a challenge, Ausschreibung. Competition from Stiftung Bauhaus in Germany, and we thought it's an interesting question, and the question was, there is an open call for entries regards the topic of society out of balance, Gesellschaft in Ungleichheit. And the entry has to be based on data, so kind of an idea what is in imbalance today, and judgment of data, topic, and design. And we were 6 people in the team, and we were asking back then ourselves, okay, we have to hand in 3 posters as a result. What is really important and in imbalance in today's world? And we had a long list of ideas. We have been discussing a lot. And then came the first problem, that we realized that data is not there. So we have a great idea on, oh, let's show the brain drain, how kind of the money flows in different countries, and we didn't find that data. Then we found others which were kind of not consistent. So actually we had the first kind of outcome of this great idea was that we actually, most of them we cannot show because we cannot find that data. And then we said, okay, let's look what data can we find. Let's start from the data and then tell the story. And then somehow it took a long time, and then one day Kurosh, he was in the team back then, he's a sociologist, and and he came in with a brochure, and that is this brochure, and I would like to show it to you. And the interesting, sorry, I want to have this with this. Okay. The interesting part of this brochure, UBS. The interesting part about the brochure, Preise und Löhne, is it's from the UBS bank. So the first reaction from us was, you are crazy. We are not going to an international competition with bank data. I mean, that's fake anyways already. So we were saying, okay, that's actually a problem. And then we, after a discussion, we said, okay, maybe we can go there and we can say, we are showing an example what would be possible with data, and we are not saying if everything is perfect. We are clearly saying it is from the UBS, and we are showing an application field what we would do with it. So we went through this brochure, and the nice part about the brochure is it's called Preise und Löhne, so prices and earnings, and it is done every 4 years from the bank. And it is done, maybe you can see it a little bit here, it is done in 72 cities around the world. So these are the pages. And then the point is why we thought that we could do something interesting here is that if you scroll through it, it's always just tables. Tables. So the whole brochure is, as you see it here, it's here you have some kind of description, and then you have the 72 cities and you have the data. And we thought that's actually really cool. We could take it and we could create something nice and visual. So then the second challenge was we called the bank and we said, we would like to have your data. Can you send us the raw data? Can you send us the Excel file? And then the bank says no. And then we said, okay, why not? And then they said, yeah, because this is meant like a brochure. It is not meant that people start making interpretations, blah, 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 blah. Then we were like, okay, should we now open it in PDF, make OCR, so text, and take it out in Excel, and then putting everything together and still doing it? And then at some point after calling, like next day, I called him and I said, we're gonna work with that data anyways. So do you wanna give it or we're gonna do it ourselves? So they gave us the data and they said they wanna see the result. So we had this data, we had the kind of the database, database, it's an Excel file. We don't have to talk about big data here. I don't know what for you big data, that's not big data, it was an Excel file. With a lot of different things inside. And then the next thing was for us that we were asking ourselves, I would like to show this a little bit bigger because also the projection is challenging. Okay, so this is the whole data. Probably some of you are laughing because it's not that big. Anyways, cool, I can zoom in. So we were actually here at this point, we were trying to find the story. Find something that would be worth visualizing, that we could make now the great story on 3 pages. So we tried somehow to see what can we do with Excel, and then you know that for sure, this highlighting with colors and kind of this, you can even make the little Balkan diagram. Bar chart, yes, sorry, thank you. So we went through this because we hope that at some points we will see some visual patterns, what we don't see in the numbers. Somehow it didn't work out for us, and then we decided, okay, let's work it with Tableau. Do you know Tableau? Tableau is like analyzing visual analysis, and then something like this came out that we made fancier bar charts for every city, where we made a selection of different job earnings and different categories, what you see here. And what came out is, we didn't do that in Excel because it didn't work, but in Tableau you can make a very, 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 very long chart. But still, for us, these kind of situations that we could see something and was already meaningful enough to identify some kind of patterns or stories. We also tried in Tableau different diagram types, even this one we also liked. So this is just a selection of all the things we did. So kind of to do this visual analysis, and there were these interesting situations where some of them are very far from each other, some of them very close to each other. So we tried with this to identify the story, and after some time and also map.
May I interrupt for a second?
Yes, yes.
Since you encouraged us to, maybe it was on one of the charts, but I didn't notice which year is this data from?
The data is, good question. I closed this. So
12, okay.
They do it every, 3 years or
4
5
years,
years or something like that. Yeah. They repeat it with the same.
You can even right now price analytics, they have an updated one.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's actually how we analyzed it. So this is always the selection. The nice part about this is that this is actually in our office. We have it. It's printed and it's 5 meters big and it's 1.5 meters. It's kind of tall, and then the people and the clients come and they're like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And then they walk and then they look at it. It's a nice presentation, and the result, the final, what we handed in there is, I will, can I zoom in? Oh yeah, okay. So, oops, lost. Okay, so the first thing what we presented there, was, so there are always the same layout. This is a poster which is
A2.
A2,
Yeah.
which is something like this. So not that big space. So we had to make the decision, how do we simplify and how do we show it. So there is always a title and there is a subtitle explaining it. There is the legend. And what we actually looked at here is, okay, oh, it's not that good as I thought. Wait.
That's under.
Oh. Moment, ich schaff's nicht. Nein, ich schaff's nicht. Slow. Okay, good. So what we looked at were income from a financial analyst, an engineer, teacher, auto mechanic, and worker. Each of these job groups is actually, by the study from the UPS, is standardized. So it is said that the financial analyst is between 30 and 35 years old, not married, no children, works in a big bank, finished studies, university or technical school or similar, and has at least 5 years of working experience. So each of these job groups, the engineer is also university. The interesting part about the teacher is working for the state school, so he is teaching everywhere in the world actually the same things to the children. Auto mechanic didn't finish university. Auto mechanic and the workers has no education. And what we did here is something where you would say, it's quite simple, but it was something, what we intended is that we said, let's talk about something we always listened to teachers in school, the Einkommensschere, so the income scissors. And actually I never understood how they are built. So what we did is that we actually took just one axis for the level of income. So we placed on this axis, we placed the income from the job groups for Beijing, for China. And then we did always the same width. Took the lowest and the highest, split it by two, created a triangle, placed the other ones on the triangle, and by that we had automatically how open is this kind of the income in these countries. And you can even read a little bit that where are these scissors placed. These are low scissors, these are scissors which are kind of starting at a high position. In Hungary they are starting at a lower position. In Dubai you see that they are very open, but also, okay, no, okay, stop. Okay, and you can see these 20 selected countries, that also, Turkey is also not that much better, it's quite open, starts very high. And what we did, the last thing is that we made kind of a detailed view in the middle of the poster, where we explained 2 countries with the exact income and how it worked. Of course, you could make it digital and you could make it clickable and different filters, but that was the principle what we introduced.
So, what is the small black one? Is it the average?
The small black one, perfect. The small black one is the GDP per capita. So that was something, a hypothesis to say, if we take, because all these are big cities, or even the capitals from the countries, and then we look, if we take the GDP, where would be the GDP be? Maybe it would say, okay, how imbalanced is, is it better to live in that city? Because you can see that, you can see that Johannesburg is very interesting. There are some Johannesburg where whatever you think the GDP is lower than the lowest income living in the big city of Johannesburg. So that there is this gap between city and land Finland, whatever.
Countryside.
What?
Countryside.
Countryside, thank you. That you see in Zurich, super good. Live in the countryside, good thing. You don't need to live in Zurich. Yeah, but that was just a hypothesis. We just tried to enrich it with the black dot.
Netto or brutto? The salaries are netto or brutto?
These salaries are, we would have to, it's written down there. I think it's some time ago. As I can tell you after, but I think it was the netto, so kind of what stays. Because that's very different from Switzerland to Austria. Exactly. Yeah.
How did you decide where you would put the lines coming together, the angle? Because sometimes it's above the teacher, sometimes it's below the teacher. It's not the GDP, so I was wondering where do you decide to do this?
I don't know if I understood your question. How did I define on this angle?
Yeah, because you don't have an x-axis, right? You just have y, the income.
I have always the same width.
Okay.
I have the lowest and the highest.
Yeah.
And then these I play on the place on the most far right.
Okay.
And then I break it through two and bring it to the most far left.
That's amazing. Okay.
It's actually, okay, so the next one. Okay, the next poster is something which got very much, we call it our visual language by time. We love them, the bubbles. We call them the bubbles, but so what we actually did is that this one is the same what you saw before. It's just that one of the bubbles is 200 euros, and then we stack them up. So before it was the scissors, this was the lowest, this was the highest. It's actually the same height, it's now just filled up. What we now brought in here, we call them the restriction lines. And these are prices for goods in these countries. So actually we wanted to see, let's say this ending of the line, of the dashed line, is the price for the iPhone 4S. This one is the price for a basket of service goods, the price for an unfurnished 3-room apartment, and so on. So actually what we did here is that we have shown on the okay, stop. Okay. We have shown here on the example of Jakarta and New York that this is what the people, what we know, what they earn. This is the worker, the teacher, auto mechanic, engineer, financial analyst. This is New York. And this is the price, the local price, which is different than in New York. This is the local price for the basket of services, and you can see that this one is not affordable for the worker, if they would spend the whole salary on it, and it is closely affordable for these two. The iPhone is already not affordable for these classes. The unfurnished 3-room apartment in Jakarta is not affordable for all these if they would spend their whole salary, and the financial is also suffering. And the interesting part is that you can see here a big wide gap to the electronic basket of services and goods. And that electronic basket is in New York even cheaper, and that the unfurnished 3-room apartment is in New York, in Manhattan, of course, one of the big and expensive things that not everybody can afford. So the interesting also is iPhone is the same price, or was same price at that time, actually in every country. That was our second, so kind of to show earnings versus prices. And the third poster, I will make it just like this, so it's fast. There. The third poster was actually that we took, you cannot see that well now, but the violet one is the price for Big Macs. The 50 Big Macs is one violet dot. The green one is 100 kilos of rice, and the brown one is 100 kilos of bread. And the idea is that we took in the first graph on the upper side, we took the wage, the income from a worker, and we spent it completely on Big Macs. And we said, okay, if he would buy only Big Macs with his salary, how many Big Macs is it? And we did that for all the countries, and that's actually the violet part of it. This one, and this one, and this one, and this one, and you see in some of the countries you cannot buy that many Big Macs. In other ones you see this one, or New York, that Big Macs, that's kind of, it's a fast food city, New York, London, that Big Macs are actually proportionally to the other countries, they are more affordable than cooking, or kind of rice or bread. And then the lower part is actually that we took the Zurich worker, and we sent them as a tourist to the countries. So actually the lower part, the mirrored part, that's the Zurich guy, this worker, who is going to Beijing. What can he buy then? So that's kind of Zurich with local price in Beijing. So actually these are kind of the crazy thing in Cairo with bread. With this. That's actually how we try to show this imbalance in the world. And yeah, that's how we did this. And the last poster was just that we said it would be actually interesting to have like a exhibition where you enter and then you are turning the wheel of fortune, which is split on the inhabitants in the world. So you have a very little chance to be born in Zurich, very high chance to be born in Mumbai or Jakarta. And then the second chance is in what kind of family are you born, because that's also a chance. And based on that, you get a basket of income. And with that basket, you can go through and try your luck and your kind of risk. So that was actually what we suggested. And there were 490 entries, and we were lucky to win the first prize. So we were from Switzerland. And that's how it started, and that gave us motivation to continue, and this was always a good story for clients to get more projects and so on. So,
I have a question.
exactly. So,
I have a question.
yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No.
Because I saw that you used the Big Mac and iPhone at that time, and my question would be, like, I saw recent years people use this as a kind of unit for describing the buying power.
Yeah.
And back then, do you also did some research, or who has already used those elements for visualize your idea?
The Big Mac index?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Big Mac index was there. We don't say that we invented the Big Mac index. We just enriched it with looking also at rice and at bread. So kind of bread, the rice and bread. That's the only thing we combined. But yes, we researched and also looked. Yeah.
Yes. Also a question on how much time you needed for this project.
Good, bad question. No, a lot. Okay, it was not full-time work, but it took us 4 months. Kind of somehow next to it. We came together at night, we worked a little bit, had something to eat, had something to drink, and the next night and something like this. So it was not that we worked like a client, see, somehow side, but it took 4 months for sure. Yeah.
What was the reaction on paying?
Oh, a super good question also. Yes, when we went there, and then the first thing was, we won. And we hoped that they would give us a job to make the next kind of issue of this.
Or a digital version.
Or digital version. We wanted to make this app and so on and so on. And there was, to be really honest, there was no reaction. It was kind of, okay. And then I was asking myself, okay, probably I'm speaking to the wrong person. So then I tried to go one hierarchy up and one hierarchy up. And by accident, 2.5 years later, I came across, through another channel, to the head of marketing and communication of UBS. And I showed him this. And he got crazy. He was like, why didn't I know about this? We could have put it out. We could have shown it. We could have made the example, and so on and so on. But I just couldn't somehow go through to get there to the person who could judge this. So it took time. They liked it. The interesting part was still then that they didn't give us the job. They made something now which is quite going into this direction with their own internal marketing communication group. We didn't get the job, but yeah, it's okay. Yes, so I don't know if I'm actually seeing in night time that actually I think I'm too slow.
Oh no.
I have so much more to show.
Yeah,
oh my god.
please do.
You have to leave, right? So yeah.
But it's okay.
Okay. I will try to be faster.
Present first.
Okay, this one I can make maybe faster.
Yeah,
Right.
you start there maybe.
Would you want to say it?
No.
Or? No. Okay. You're comfortable there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So the sufficiency. This is something that city of Basel. This is another challenge. So we don't do always kind of data things. Also, people come, and this is the city, so-called Presidial Department of the city of Basel. They are developing the new strategies for the city. And this is a strategy that Basel is trying to move away from the term of efficiency and sustainability to something which is called sufficiency. They came to us and they said, could you visualize this? And we were like, okay, sounds good. We like to work with city. What does it mean, sufficiency? And then this was their briefing. They gave us an A4 paper, and as you see it here, I can say this is written happiness, and this is income. And they say the happiness and the income curve, this is kind of flattening. And the second is that if we continue like this, in 50 years we will need 3 planets to live. And then we're like, okay, where are the facts? I mean, this is emotional, but it is so far away, it doesn't touch anyone. It's advertising. Mm-hmm. And then we really clearly said, okay, do you have something more? And then they said, yeah, we have some ideas. These are things we found on the internet and what we would like you to visualize for us. And we were like, okay, we are really sorry, but I think we are the wrong ones. We would like to show somehow, in a meaningful way, what does sufficiency mean. So we did several workshops with them.
Yeah, and what was important as well, we didn't want to have something that is like the finger pointing, like, yeah, you are so bad, you should do better, and you know, like this. We said, yeah, it's not really motivating for people in the city to be more sufficient, which means sustainable, but also more to the usage of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what they were intending somehow to say, you shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't go by car, you shouldn't do this and that. And we said that's good, but that's kind of finger pointing, and actually we are all the time confronted with these kind of things, and why can we not bring it into something positive to say, oh, you are already eating 3 times a week vegetarian, why don't you do it 4 times? So kind of to say, okay, you are on the way, let's improve it. So that's how we developed then 3 topics, kind of, we wanted to, maybe I just jump to the top. sketches, and this was somehow the cubicle which was put on the streets, which was printed directly on wood. That was the cool part. What Nico wanted, that we kind of take it and make it really ecological. We don't need paper. So the result. Okay, maybe this guys. Yeah. Okay. Good. So the result is there are 3 topics. Okay. There are 3 topics. The one is mobility. So we decided to make 3 topics: mobility, living, and eating. And there are 3 sections, which is we call it the data eye catcher. So kind of we show the people that each Swiss inhabitant goes per year 20,000 kilometers, 750 are done by bike in average, 10,000 car, 4,000 train, and 5,000 airplane, and 500 the other. That's kind of the eye catcher. And then this section is interaction section. We like dots, as you already saw it. And what we did here is we asked the people, how are you, what do you like?
What's your favorite way of mobility?
What's your favorite way of mobility? And then you have 3 colors. The one is, if you are under 14 years old, take the green. If you are between 15 and 35, orange. And if you are over 55, then take the red one. And then the people had to kind of go there, take the dot, and then say, okay, actually I prefer going by foot or by bike, and then they stick their color. So we kind of tried to do little interaction, little statistic. And here, these ones were the examples to get more information on what are examples to this topic. We did this for mobility. We did this for living, where we looked the square meters, what would be efficient per person, 45. In Switzerland it's 45 in average, and in Basel city is 42. And then we also asked the people, okay, so where are you living? Kind of in what flat, and with how many people are you living? And here was the same with food. So what do you prefer most? Fish, vegan, Fleisch, or meat or Käse, cheese, and so on and so on. So we got interaction, and the point here was just that we didn't expect that after the first day we would need to go there and to take them all, make a photo and take them all off. So actually people really interacted, and we got kind of a statistic, and that was the funny part about it.
Yeah, and the most important thing about it was that the people from the city department could get in touch with the people from the city to speak about this topic.
Yes.
And just a question, was it in several places or only one place?
One.
It was
called the Barfüßerplatz.
Yeah, I actually think in the end they used it in 2 places, but it was made for a special fair where they had a booth. Yeah.
Yeah, that was our work with the city of Basel. So that's actually that we wanted to show we do some kind of printy stuff and how we work there. So that's the chapter of print, and I have 2 more chapters, but I think I'm too slow. Okay, so the question now, Nicole, it's your time, is I would kind of ask, I asked you before, who are designers, the technicians, and I would like to ask how many of you are working with kind of things like we showed before in print area. Afterwards I will show programming stuff. Who from you is doing something with print? Please stand up. Okay. 4, 5. Go. Then the next question will come after the next chapter. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Good. Good. So challenges in the digital area. Good. I will try to be fast. Good. Okay. This is our favorite case. It's for the Swiss Post. We are working with them since 3 years. And how it came together, the project is actually quite a coincident, that they actually called us and said, are we able to help them to explain the topic of e-commerce? And then we said, okay, e-commerce sounds good. Explaining topic e-commerce is also good because I understand e-commerce is web shop, but I don't understand more. And they said then, okay, and then came the pressure part because they said there was already an advertising agency and they did already a lot of things, but it didn't work. So they showed emotional campaigns on e-commerce and so on, but people still have the problem, they don't know what is e-commerce in fact. So they imagined something like a Wikipedia page where they would explain what is e-commerce. And then we thought, okay, that's actually interesting, let's make a Wikipedia page. And what we created in 2015,
Jetzt sag einfach das Neue. Es geht nicht wegen Einloggen. Es geht nicht wegen Einloggen.
Und wieso kann ich dann? Okay, we have an archive which is protected and somehow we cannot log in.
Ja, ist gleich.
I still show it in the hands. You can see it in the hands, we have a backup. Behance. So the first version of the page is this one. So where we try to create, you can see it here. Swiss Post is very yellow and brown and so on. So we created a micro page, a microsite, which is split in 6 sections. You have the topics of payment, marketing, logistics, and so on. And what this website is doing, there is always a section, there is a title, and there is this diagram which is showing like eye-catcher wise how much is paid in which section. It's actually going now too fast too. And let's say these are the 6 facts about Swiss shoppers. Where do they spend their money? And you can see, okay, in Switzerland, the biggest turnaround is done with multimedia, hi-fi electronics. The e-commerce is the only market which is growing, which was growing for 2014. You can see how much is done with DVD, audio, fashion, living, and food. And we tried somehow to create always this diagram type as the entry point, and you could always open up, I will show it, for information on demand. When we started doing this, we had a lot of discussion, big challenge regarding branding, because we wanted to do nice things, and then comes the branding and says, not allowed, not allowed, not allowed. And then we wanted to make icons to enrich the diagram, and then they said, we have our icon set, and then Nico said, I don't like that icon.
And probably we said they're not good.
They're not good, so we don't want to have the icons from the
No,
post.
they're standard icons. Yeah.
And then we found a way around that we call these things illustrations, because they don't have illustration definitions. So we were allowed to make illustrations, and we made a lot of these illustrations. In the meantime, we created a whole language. It's actually, it's another Behance. I could show you just. There are over 120 illustrations for the Swiss Post what we created for e-commerce with all these kind of little details, and it is going even into a more complex language, which is, you can see it maybe, yeah, that's all right, but here it gets interesting for delivery, that we have kind of always a combination of two icons, on date delivery, afternoon delivery, morning delivery, night delivery, 2-hour delivery, no Swiss delivery, for free delivery, and so on. So kind of we tried really to translate all these things what we have been using in the data. So the data set has been translated into these icons, also this kind of combinations and so on. So we developed 120 icons, illustrations. And today's website, in the meantime, the Swiss Post has changed their from yellow to less yellow. They don't like yellow anymore. And we have made an update now, this year. So this is the current website you can find online. So you can see already that the diagram, we have more red, the yellow is less yellow. We have recolored the illustrations, we have updated the diagrams, and how this works actually is that you can see this is card design. It's not that good visible here, but we have a mobile phone, it's gray. You have always again the title, the section, you have the diagram, and once you have this diagram regarding marketing, actually I can switch to English because it's multi-language. In advertising, the spendings, you can see, okay, most spending goes to online search and TV. And if you want to learn more about this topic, you can have information on demand. So you can open up, and then you can read more stories. And that's actually, we call it details on demand. So overview first, and then you can kind of have details on demand. What is special about this is actually the first time we did it, but we wanted it, is that this, normally infographics and data visualization, they're not that good responsive. So if you look at it on the kind of phone, you have troubles, you have to zoom, it doesn't work. So actually the amazing part about these diagrams and this website is that if you scale it down, you can have, you see it, if you scale it down, now it is, the icons are gone, and it is built up in the vertical, so they are really perfect, pixel perfect on the phone. So actually all the graphics, and you can see some of the graphics, we split them in 2 diagrams, and the same graphic on the desktop is this one. So kind of we created this really responsive behavior of infographics and diagrams for the Swiss Post. Okay.
What are you using for the front end in this case? Front end, what are you using for the front end?
React. What? Where was I? Yes, exactly. So that was the Swiss Post, digital. Exactly, responsive, updated, fresh and clean. You can have a look at it. Maybe I made this super short. We also created a participation app for the, it's called Sona. You can look at it yourself. It's called Sona, EIFCH. It's actually an application which is built off a pie chart. We made it for a professor. It's about socially sustainable city development is a topic. And actually it is, if we would develop a city, each of you would get a planet. And in the beginning, each of your planets is equal. So all of the parts of your needs are equal: participation, mobility, usage, social structure, accessibility. And then once you go into your planet, come on. Okay, I have a backup. Today's not my day.
But as long as you have a backup, everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So what you actually do is once you have your planet, you can customize your planet. So you go into accessibility. Once you click into accessibility, you get an information what is meant in accessibility in city development. Once you have read it, you have still the possibility that you say, okay, you come to subtopics of the brown area of the accessibility, which is visibility, children friendliness, and so on and so on. You can click on these flags. So the idea behind is a little bit the Little Prince. I don't know if you know the story where the Little Prince is on a small planet. So you can read the next topic of the flag, and if you like it, you can pin that flag. And if you do that, then the brown area, your pie chart, your planet got bigger. So you can continue doing this more and more. And as you see, the brown part is now very big in my planet, and then all the participants are creating this planet. And okay, you cannot see it, but maybe I can say that you can. Yeah, we took the rotation. But once you have all the planets, the facilitator of the workshop looks at the universe. And the interesting part is it is done before, and then you can see as a facilitator, do we have all the same opinion? Should we have more parking spaces? So everybody took the mobility, the blue part is big. Or do we have somebody only green, somebody only blue? So I know this is going to be a clash. So that's actually an area to see occasion, like in Germany we would say Stimmungsbild, so kind of a preparation for this kind of negotiation in cities and how they could develop. That's an app what we built for them based on a simple pie chart enriched with data. Yeah. And then I see. Okay. Then I would already finish the digital area. So who of you is, before I asked for the print, who of you is programming and doing kind of apps and digital stuff, websites, digital area? Stand up, please. Yeah. Oh yeah. Cool. Good. Many, yeah. I thought so. It's actually not surprising.
That's why you show different things, not only digital.
Yeah, exactly. And the last one, I don't know if you have still capacity, I would have shown you corporate things, which are kind of for companies. Are you okay with that? Good, okay. So, challenges in the corporate area. The first one is we cannot show them officially publicly.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some of them are allowed, like this one. Lonza actually approached us. Yeah, that's actually working. And they asked for. Lonza is a pharmaceutical company, and they said they have a booth. This is how the booth would look like. We didn't design it. And they said, here is this wall, and we would like to have here a visualization. And we said, okay, what's the topic? And they said, yeah, we want to show what our palette, what are we offering? And we said, okay, is it advertising or is it a visualization? And then they said, no, like they want to really show what's happening there. We said, okay, that's cool. Process design, and so sounds good. We said, first thing was, can you remove this please? Because I don't see the point to make it a visualization and people are sitting with the back to it. So take that away. Yeah, okay, that's possible. Good. So then the next step was that we had workshops with scientists who are working there, and we were having good lectures in chemistry to understand how that works. So we are trying to These are actually sketches from the clients. So this.
So we made them sketch. The clients, they don't sketch because they do it usually, but we ask them to do it.
Exactly. So they were sketching for us, and then we went, okay, and how does it work? And then we were somehow, okay, so if I have these cells, and these, let's say they are the triangles, what is happening then, and so on, and so on, and so on. And the next step was somehow that we tried to refine it, and then we were sketching and sketching and sketching. So we were a very long period, we were sketching. And here also we realized we need icons, not illustrations. And then we started developing for them an icon system because Nico didn't like the icons.
No, they didn't have.
Yeah, okay.
They didn't have.
And then this, because it had to be black background, this was for that booth where, let me see, San Francisco. Okay, so as you can see, as an example here in the development process, the purification and concentration, how that works, is that we developed this very abstract, because they gave us how it really looks, but then it gets very organic. So we abstracted it to very simple shapes, and we showed how cell separation and product recovery works, so that you say, okay, you have these cells, the container, and then you have this centrifugation, filtration, or chromography. I'm an expert now. No. And then you can kind of filter those, just let's say disease. So we had this kind of abstract language to the API bulk field, that's actually a big container, and how that works. So we were actually trying to explain all the processes and kind of what they offer, drug substance manufacturing, and so on and so on. And actually they liked it a lot, and then they asked us, this is actually big, so we have the prototype in our office, it's 5 meters, and 4 meters, it's really big, so it looks quite good. And then they asked us for the next thing, which is they have a next booth, and they would like to continue with this. So so they wanted to have a colorful version. So we started, okay, translating all these things into color, and the end result for them was, you can see here the photograph, this is in Barcelona, that also this wall, there was a wall explaining kind of what they do and how they do it. And now the interesting part comes. Nicole and me, we had an excuse to go to Barcelona to document this. And we are going to the fair, and then we go there, and then we see and look, okay, the one was that we really didn't like how they make it, how they put it on the wall, and blah, blah, blah. But the other part was that nobody was using it. And then we were like, okay, come on, we did the big effort, and nobody's using, all the people are hiding here, all the salespeople, everybody with a laptop. Why don't you use the wall? And the clients, they come. The clients, they come, they look, they stand in front of it, they talk with it, but the Lonza people, they are here. So we were like, that's super strange. Why don't they use this wall? Then we went there and we asked, kind of, why are you not using it? And then it turns out that they say, you know, the problem is that actually I'm from this area. I can explain this. But if a client comes and they ask me this, I cannot say what it is and how it works. And then we came back with this experience, and then we talked to the management, to the people who we talked, and we said, I think you have a problem because your people don't know what your whole company is doing. So what happened after this is that they started an educational program in Lonza, where all the people get, at least based on this, everybody has to be able to explain, at least on a kind of abstract level, what the whole company is doing. So actually the nice part about this project was that somehow we just came to make something more visual, but in the end we changed a lot internally in the company because they realized that somehow not everybody knows everything because everybody had their own field and their own laptop. So that's a nice story about this corporate world project. The photographer, please, is how many of you are having kind of mostly... three last questions. Please stand up. The one is, how many of you are working with kind of the corporate area with corporate clients? Please stand up. Oh, that's Vienna. That's Vienna. I thought so. Okay. Good. Rest? Cool. The next, the last one, last two. How many of you are really working alone as kind of freelancing, self-employed, without team? Cool. And the last really is how many of you... What? I asked that already. Okay, we're done. What?
It's too easy.
Good, not too easy. Okay, good, thanks a lot.